The moment you go silent is the moment she starts hearing your absence louder than your words. Most men think they need to say more, do more, chase harder to get her back. They believe if they just explain themselves better, show more effort, or stay constantly present, things will somehow fix themselves. But what they don't realize is constant presence often kills the very attraction they're trying to build. When you're always there, always replying, always reacting, you remove any sense of mystery. She doesn't have to think about you because you're already in front of her. She doesn't have to wonder because you've already answered every question before it even formed. And over time, your attention becomes background noise, something expected, something predictable. But the moment you stop, everything changes. No more random messages, no more checking in, no more reacting to everything she does. You don't announce it, you don't explain it, you just disappear from the pattern she got comfortable with. And that silence creates something powerful, a psychological vacuum, because now instead of you filling the space fills itself with her thoughts. She starts noticing the difference immediately, even if she doesn't show it. The phone feels quieter, the routine feels off. That constant stream of attention she was receiving from you is suddenly gone. And at first, she might ignore it. She might assume you're just busy. But as time passes, that silence becomes louder because silence forces reflection. Now she has time to think, time to replay your conversations, your energy, your presence, time to compare what it felt like when you were there versus what it feels like now. And that comparison starts triggering emotions she didn't feel when everything was easily available. This is where your absence becomes more powerful than your presence ever was because when you were always there, she didn't have to process your value. But when you're gone, her mind starts filling in the gaps. She begins to wonder why you stopped. She starts asking questions she never had to ask before, and those questions create emotional movement. Most men get uncomfortable with silence. They feel like they're losing control, like they need to step in and fix it. But in reality, silence is where control is built because you're no longer chasing, you're allowing her mind to come to you. And here's the key: you're not using silence to punish her, you're using it to reclaim your space, your focus, your self respect. You're stepping back, not out of weakness, but out of strength. You're showing that your attention is not something that's always available on demand because when your presence is no longer guaranteed, it becomes valuable. And when she starts to feel that absence deeply enough, she won't be able to ignore it. She'll have to respond to it because sometimes the most powerful thing you can say is nothing at all. Most men think attraction is about showing more emotion, expressing more, explaining more, making sure she always knows how they feel. They believe clarity will bring her closer. But in reality, when you make your emotions completely predictable and always available, you remove the very tension that creates attraction because mystery isn't built through words, it's built through what's not said. When she knows exactly how you feel at all times, when she can read you like an open book, there's nothing left to discover, no curiosity, no intrigue, no emotional pull. You become safe, familiar, and often taken for granted. But the moment you become emotionally unavailable, not cold, not rude, but simply less accessible, everything shifts. Now she can't easily figure you out. She doesn't know exactly what you're thinking, how you're feeling, or where she stands with you. And that uncertainty creates something powerful inside her, the need to understand you, because people are naturally drawn to what they can't fully grasp. She starts paying closer attention to your behavior. Every message you send, every reaction you give, every moment of silence, it all starts to carry more meaning. She begins analyzing things she once ignored, trying to read between the lines, trying to decode your actions. And without realizing it, she becomes more emotionally invested because now, instead of you constantly expressing yourself, she's the one trying to figure you out. She's the one thinking about you, wondering about you, trying to understand what changed. And that mental focus is what pulls her deeper. But here's where most men get it wrong: they confuse emotional unavailability with being distant or careless. They think it means ignoring her completely or acting like they don't care at all. That's not it. True emotional control is not about shutting down, it's about not giving everything away too easily. You still engage, but you don't overexpose. You still respond, but you don't overinvest. You allow moments of space, moments of silence, moments where she has to come toward you instead of you constantly going toward her. That balance creates mystery. And mystery keeps attraction alive because when she can't fully predict you, she stays engaged. When she doesn't have complete access to your emotions, she values the moments when you do open up. And those moments feel stronger, more meaningful, more real. You become someone she has to experience, not someone she has already figured out. And the more she tries to understand you, the more she gets pulled into your world because attraction doesn't grow when everything is obvious. It grows when there's something left to discover. And when she can't fully read you anymore, that's when she starts chasing the answers and coming back to find them. There's a moment in every connection where things feel certain. She knows you're there, she knows you care, and deep down, she believes you're not going anywhere. And when that certainty settles in, something subtle happens. She relaxes. Not in a bad way, but in a way where the urgency disappears. The need to hold on, to invest, to fight for the connection, it fades because people don't chase what feels guaranteed. But the moment you step back, the moment you stop showing that constant care, that certainty begins to crack. Now, instead of feeling secure about your presence, she starts to feel something unfamiliar, the possibility of losing you. And that possibility changes everything. At first, it's just a thought, small, quiet, almost unnoticeable. Why is he different? Why hasn't he reached out? But as that thought grows, it turns into something deeper because now it's not just about you being distant, it's about you potentially being gone. And that triggers one of the strongest emotional responses in human psychology, the fear of loss. Loss hits differently than gain. People can ignore what they have, but they react strongly to what they might lose. And when she starts to feel like your attention, your presence, your energy is slipping away, her mind shifts from comfort to urgency. Now she starts paying attention again. She notices your absence more clearly. She becomes aware of the gap where you used to be. And in that awareness, your value starts to rise, not because you're doing more, but because she feels like she might not have you anymore. That's when emotions begin to activate. She might check your social media more often. She might think about you at random times. She might wonder if you've moved on, if someone else has taken your place. And those thoughts create pressure, not from you, but from within her, because now it's not about you chasing her, it's about her not wanting to lose you. And here's the key, this only works when the possibility feels real. If she believes you're just pretending, or that you'll come back the moment she ignores it, the effect disappears. But when your shift is genuine, when you actually pull back, focus on yourself, and stop making her the center of your attention, that's when the fear becomes real. She can't predict you anymore. She can't control the situation the way she used to. And that lack of control forces her to act, but most men break this process too early. They sense the distance and rush back in, trying to reassure her, trying to prove they're still there. And in doing that, they remove the very thing that was creating attraction, the possibility of losing them. You have to let that feeling exist. You have to let her sit with it, process it, and react to it naturally. Because when someone feels like they might lose you, they stop taking you for granted. And when she realizes you're not guaranteed anymore, that's when she starts coming back to hold on. There's something powerful that happens when you stop making someone the center of your world and start making yourself the priority again. Most men don't realize it, but the moment you shift your focus away from her and back onto your own life, everything about you begins to change. And she feels it even if you don't say a word. When you're overly focused on her, your energy becomes narrow. Your thoughts revolve around what she's doing, how she's feeling, whether she'll respond, whether things are working. And without realizing it, you start neglecting other parts of your life, your goals, your purpose, your growth. That kind of energy doesn't create attraction, it creates dependency. But the moment you pull back and redirect that energy, something different starts to happen. You begin investing in yourself again. Your time goes into your work, your ambitions, your physical and mental growth. You reconnect with your own direction. And when a man is focused on his own path, he naturally becomes more grounded, more confident, more stable. Not because he's trying to impress anyone, but because he's aligned with himself. That alignment is attractive because now, instead of chasing her attention, you're building a life that naturally commands attention. You're no longer reacting to everything she does, you're leading your own life. And that shift in energy is something she can sense, even from a distance. She notices that you're not as available, not because you're playing games, but because you genuinely have things going on. Your responses are less frequent, but more intentional. Your presence feels different, calmer, stronger, less needy. And that difference stands out, especially if she was used to the old version of you. This is where your value starts to rise without you saying anything, because value isn't just about how you treat her, it's about how you treat your own life. When she sees that you're not centered around her, that your happiness and focus don't depend on her presence, it changes how she perceives you. You become someone who has direction, someone who isn't easily shaken, someone who isn't waiting around. And that creates attraction because people are naturally drawn to those who have purpose, to those who are moving forward, building something, becoming something. It shows strength, it shows independence, and most importantly, it shows that your attention is earned, not freely given. But here's the deeper part: when you focus on yourself, you're not just increasing your value in her eyes, you're increasing your value in your own eyes. And that changes everything because now, even if she doesn't come back immediately, you're still moving forward, you're still growing, you're still building a life that doesn't depend on her presence. And ironically, that's the exact mindset that often brings her back because she sees that you're no longer chasing her, you're choosing yourself. And when a man chooses himself, that's when others start choosing him too. Most men think the hard part is getting her to come back, but the real test begins the moment she does. Because when she reaches out again, when she sends that message, calls you, or tries to reconnect, that's where the entire dynamic can either shift in your favor or fall right back into the same pattern that pushed her away in the first place. When she comes back, she's not just reconnecting, she's observing, she's paying attention to how you respond. Has anything changed? Are you still the same guy who is always available, always ready, always over investing? Or is there something different about you now? And this is where most men lose everything they just built. The moment they see her name pop up, all the discipline disappears. They respond instantly with excitement, with long messages, with all the attention they were holding back. They go right back into chasing mode without even realizing it. And in doing so, they send a clear message: nothing has changed. That familiarity kills the tension again. Because now she knows she can still have you whenever she wants. The mystery disappears, the challenge disappears, and slowly the attraction starts to fade again, just like before. But when you don't react, that's where the power is. Not ignoring her, not playing games, but staying calm, centered, and in control of your emotions. You respond, but you don't overdo it. You engage, but you don't chase. Your energy stays steady, not reactive. And that difference is what she feels because now, instead of you trying to pull her back in, she's the one trying to reconnect. She's the one testing the waters, seeing how much access she still has to you. And when she realizes that your attention is no longer automatic, that it's something she has to earn again, her level of investment increases. She starts leaning in more. She might send another message if you don't reply immediately. She might try harder to keep the conversation going. She might even bring up things from the past, trying to rebuild that connection. And all of this effort is coming from her side now, not because you forced it, but because you created the space for it. This is how attraction rebuilds. Because the more she invests, the more emotionally connected she becomes. Every message she sends, every effort she makes, it pulls her deeper into the interaction. And now, instead of you doing all the work, she's participating in it. That's the shift you want. But it only happens if you maintain control, if you don't fall back into old habits, if you don't give everything away the moment she returns because your value is no longer in chasing, it's in your restraint. And when she feels that you're not reacting the same way anymore, that you're grounded, composed, and not easily pulled back in, it changes how she sees you completely. And that's when she stops testing and starts trying to win you back. When she comes back, most men think the goal is already achieved. They believe her return means they've won and now everything should go back to how it was before. But that mindset is exactly what destroys the second chance. Because if everything goes back to how it was, the same outcome will repeat. The real power is not in getting her back, it's in changing the dynamic when she does. And that starts with one simple principle: she has to earn your attention again. Before, you were giving it freely, you were always there, always available, always investing without requiring anything in return. And because of that, there was no challenge, no effort from her side, no reason for her to step forward. She stayed comfortable while you did all the work. But now things are different. When she returns, you don't shut her out, but you also don't open the door completely. You give her just enough to engage, just enough to keep the connection alive, but not enough to make her feel like she has full access again. And that's what creates a new dynamic. Because now, if she wants your attention, she has to move towards you. She has to show effort. She has to initiate. She has to invest time, energy, and emotion into reconnecting. And every time she does that, something important happens. She becomes more attached because people value what they work for. Every message she sends us, every attempt she makes to see you, every effort to keep the conversation going, it all builds emotional investment. And the more she invests, the more she feels connected. Not because you're chasing her, but because she's choosing you again and again through her actions. This is how attraction is rebuilt properly, not through words, not through promises, but through consistent effort from her side. You're no longer trying to convince her of your value. You're allowing her to experience it by earning access to you. And here's the key: you stay grounded throughout the process. You don't rush it. You don't try to define everything too quickly. You let things unfold naturally, allowing her to come closer step by step. And with each step she takes, her investment grows stronger. This also changes how she perceives you. You're no longer the man who was always available. You're someone who has standards, someone who values his time and attention, someone who doesn't give everything away without reason. And that level of self respect is deeply attractive because now being with you feels like something she has to maintain, not something she can take for granted. And when she realizes that your attention is no longer free, but something she has to earn and keep, her behavior changes. She becomes more consistent, more intentional, more invested. And that's when the connection becomes stronger than it was before. Because this time, it's not built on you chasing her, it's built on her choosing you and working to keep you.